Hello, folks. I think we're live, kinda. Oh, there we go. Got some cameras, got some sound. Might be working. I can see. There's no game sound. Hang on a tick. Sigh. I'm having lots of fun this morning. Driver update, and everything just went to poo. Okay, now if I change this to that. Okay, hopefully we're going to have game sound now. Oop, looks promising. Good-o. Okay, hello everybody. How are we all doing today? We have... Michael says hello, but he can't join us today. That's a bummer. What are we running? We're running Wasatch, aren't we? Now, I haven't run these scenarios, and I'm glad to see Smokebox there, because I've been so busy doing something else for something that's coming out soon that I can actually tell you about, because you know about TSW3 now. I haven't touched this. And, you know, it may not go too well. Hopefully it'll be okay. What are we going to run taking up? We're going to run take stock. We're going to start with a hard one. Why not? Picking the HD. And I'll just crank this up and then I'll catch up with the chat. Because get this moving. And hello British Ace, hello Smokebox, great to have you here. Hello NJTE, and hello rail fans of Northern Illinois, I think used to be Chicago. And there we go. And British Ace had a hectic day at Lou's Station today. For those of you who don't know, where's that train moving? Stop it. Let's just get rid of the detents first. That didn't go. Right, there we go. Look, no, I turned it back on again. A little bit laggy. That's okay. My machine's still catching up. It's actually... I hope this goes okay, because it's actually patching... But, well, you know about the game. It's patching TSW3 right now, and I've learnt not to stop it. Right, the F7's tasked with taking a consist of stock cars from Wasatch to Everton have failed, just as it was about to depart. Go quickly to pick up the train and its diesels and make down the grade to Echo. So we probably need a big headlight. Maybe that one? Maybe not. Maybe I'll just do it in the cab. Ah, well. We have got Rail Driver running. Hopefully it'll work. And why are we taking off like a scared rabbit? Okay, good. Now it'll be better. I had the Rail Driver throttle fully open. We will have a route guessing game for sure. This time it's a train guessing game, although a route is part of it. It's been sitting here cold, so let's just leave the cylinder cocks open for a little while. Need a whistle, don't we? That's how you annoy everybody in your depot. So, how are we going? Looks like the game's okay. Looks like sound's running. It's good. Let's close those up. Or not. There we go. Does heat cause track buckles in England, British Ace? Or is that unique to Australia? We have these situations where we have really hot areas and really cool areas. The tracks run through both. Should have a red light on the back, shouldn't we? I can see that's there now. Did I manage to turn the headlight on? No, I didn't. It's probably reading the rail driver switch. No, it's not reading the rail driver switch. Okay. Alright. We'll give up with the headlights in a moment. Hello, Nonat7. Welcome. We're in the Challenger. We're not working too hard right now because we're almost at our stop point to head back that way. And then we're going to have a fairly long run, because I played the first 5 minutes of this, fairly long run to go and pick up our load. Well, 33 is probably a fairly normal summer day for us, but we do have the more horrible days towards the end of February, early March, where it gets up to about 45 Celsius, and it usually lasts for about 2 weeks, and it's yuck. So I really feel for you guys being hot. I mean, 33 might be just not that hot for us, but if you're not used to it, it's going to be bloody awful. Almost at our run back point. Just using the loco brake here. You've got a fan there, Smokebox. Nonon at 7 says this probably has to be one of the best DLCs from Smokebox. Did I not go far enough? No, I went too far. I'm going to go the other way now. That's okay. We have to go that way anyway. That's fine. Now, did that switch change, or do I have to do it? No, it's done it. It's all good. And yeah, it is a pretty impressive DLC, I have to admit. Oh, it's got a patch coming out. Excellent. Smokebox certainly does push the limits of what's possible in TS Classic, that's for sure. Now, I haven't got my head tracker turned on today because I just ran out of time getting device drivers working again after a little Windows update that basically reset everything. Now, I'm just going to turn off the HUD because I don't want you to know how fast I'm going. Pretty Chase says he wouldn't mind cooler weather. It's a tinderbox. No rain in July or August. Got 2 minutes worth. We had hail and sleet here yesterday. Now that I'm doing about, I don't know, double the speed limit probably. I'll just let this run because we're going to run light engine for a little while. Just cruising away through the day. Heading out to go and pick up our load. I was hoping to fire this manually today. Oh, I've got a headlight on the back. I've still got a headlight on the back. Oh, Retro Rail Driver doing that. It tries to turn off and it turns back on again. Oh well. All good. We'll just pretend it's not there. And after a while, Smokebox will tell me what I'm doing wrong and it'll be all fine. Yep. As I said, I was hoping to learn how to manually fire this one, but I've been doing so much for the other game that I have not had a chance. That's the red light, which is on. Running lights. And there's another switch up here somewhere. This one. Is that giving us headlights in the front now? Yes, that's better. But do we still have them on the back? No. Ah. How's that steam pressure looking? Fantastic. All good. Not that it's working very hard at the moment because it's only moving itself. $36 for the southeast of England tomorrow. That's going to be unpleasant, isn't it? And I think you guys get a bit of humidity too. It's not a dry heat, it's a bit of a wet heat, isn't it? Kind of yuck. Hopefully you'll all be okay. 11,000 lines of code, says Smokebox, in response to Noanat's the scripting of these models is legitimately so insane. Yes, massive. I have to say you do an excellent job, Smokebox, of your optimization, because yeah, running this incredibly detailed model and frame rates just stay where they always are. It's really cool. We're going to be a little while just running light engine, unfortunately. Well, fortunately, unfortunately, just like looking at the locomotive, I guess it's all good. Probably wouldn't blow the whistle for such a tiny road, but, you know, see if necessary. There's another one. The FPS with the JA is to do with the distant scenery on the New Zealand route. If you take the J off that route and put it on something else, it runs fine. So it's not actually the loco. It's just that there's so much distant scenery on the New Zealand Midland route that it chews up all of your resources. Oh, and thanks for the plug, by the way, Smokebox. Appreciate it. And you don't want to know how fast we're going, but you can probably tell. Are we nearly there yet? 6 miles to go. I mean, where we're going's urgent anyway. We're rescuing a train after all. Noanat7 says, also saw a fan railer's video on the Challenger with some of the new injector sounds. They also sound really good, recording and implementation wise. And Smokebox says that he put a lot of effort into choosing the LOD levels for various parts carefully and picking the right still levels. And Railfan of Northern Illinois says, can I go 90 miles an hour with the Jubilee and not get wheel slip? No. I've explained to you before that if you overspeed the locomotive, the game puts in wheel slip because it represents what would be catastrophic damage, i.e. all the side rods on your locomotive coming off, probably piercing the cab and the boiler and all sorts of horrible things. And the smoke is pretty good, Smokebox. It does look nice. I love the way it changes depending on your throttle settings and whether it's being fired or not at the time. It's really cool. It's probably some of the most advanced smoke in any train simulator game, I would suggest. Probably got about 4 miles to go now. Noanat7, sounds like you actually do play with building your own gear. Have you made anything? Yeah, it'd be nice to have a Clinchfield version. And there's that pond that I wanted to get a screenshot at. And I missed it. Oh well. How are we doing for distance? 4 miles. Guess wasn't too bad. Let's put a bit more oomph into it. Just opened up the cocks again since we have been drifting for a while. It is a big beast. And I have to say, this would be every steam driver's joyous moment. The diesel broke, come and fix it. That's cool knowing that, 7. I don't have the capabilities to do 3D modelling, so I tend to limit myself to playing the game and building scenarios and things like that. I'm highly appreciative of people who are clever enough to make 3D models and make the animations and make it all actually work. It's just clever. Because if there weren't people doing that, people like me wouldn't have anything to play with. And we'd still be sitting on the horrible models we had from 10 years ago. I did a comparison of this with the other 2 Challenger versions, and the difference is just so remarkable. Yes, you can, rail fans of Northern Illinois. You can operate the water scoop on the ATF and Jubilee. Unfortunately, the game doesn't simulate that if you drop the scoop down when there's sleepers there and not a trough, that it just tears it all to pieces. That's kind of sad. It'd be fun if it did that. Leaving the work to psychos. I like that idea. Yeah, I don't think there actually are any troughs in the Spirit of Steam. I don't remember any. I think I'd notice something like that. I hope I would. Says he, hopefully. Oop, I better slow down. Since we're, I might just give it a quick application for a little while. There we go. Leave that sit. Because I need to stop rather suddenly. I should probably close the regulator as well. That might be a little bit helpful. Because there's the back of the train that we're picking up. There it is. We'll just leave the locomotive brake doing its thing. We're going way over the speed we should be, but by the time we get through those points, we'll be fine. Honest. Yeah, I'm not sure about Victory Works. They do some nice stuff too. Do you know, I'd never noticed that before, but you actually see the brake mechanism move on the tender. It's so cool. If you watch just under fire hose only when I apply the brakes again in a moment, which I will be shortly, probably right about now, see it move. Backwards. There you go. Something else we could go look at while the game's playing. The reversing gear moving. That's just cool. Too good. Alright, we'd better go and back up onto our consist and do what we're told. Don't want to go too hard though. Now from this point onwards, this scenario will be a surprise to me. head back down there to our little diesels. Who's sheepishly sitting there going, nope, rescued by a steam engine. Mind you, I haven't finished rescuing them yet. This is a fairly long scenario. That would be excellent if, when the changes come out, if you do a tutorial from manually firing from 987, that would be really handy. Because while I do actually do that in real life, it's on little tiny steam engines. And I've only recently started training again because my qualification is from 15 odd years ago. Not quite going to make it. Braked a little early, but that's okay. We'll just call it a safety stop, followed by a big bang. Oh, I hope I didn't derail that. Did I derail that? Or did it couple? Jeez, that must have been close. I think we survived that. I think. No, we didn't. No, I might have broken it, I think. I got a little enthusiastic on the rail driver lever. Hopefully I didn't break that to the point that it's really swift. Otherwise, we'll have to run that first bit again, because I didn't save. That's a bit gentler, and that sounds promising. Good, I didn't break it completely. Thankfully, it didn't have a script about really bad coupling. Some of them do. Be aware there may be a signal stuck at red on the approach to Echo. If so, further instructions will be given on arrival. Alright then. Brakes are coming off. Little bit, rail driver. There we go. Leave it there for the moment. Looking promising. Train's coming with us. Always a good thing. I should turn off that backup light. I'm blinding them with a big red light. That's just a bit rude. That's better. Yeah, those disabled diesels look little like they're actually running. Alright, off we go. If anybody's got any questions about this locomotive, having Smokebox in the chat is the perfect opportunity. I just realised I'm sitting right under the Train Simulator logo. Oh well, I just have the pink train on my face. I'm not going to mess with it now. I've had enough go wrong as well without messing with that. While we're climbing the hill, why don't we do the first part of our quiz? And we'll see who's going to come out on top this week.
Shall we play a game?
Go into the quiz. Basically, each time I open this, another block will get removed off the next page. And if is up to 100 points for getting the train right, every time a block removes, you lose some points. So let's take the first one off. Whoop, we almost got two then. Okay, back here. My Steam Deck transitions aren't working either, so I'm having to click on the OBS setup with the mouse. The Drifter from the Hours, good morning. Ah, Smokebox, that change would be highly appreciated, adjusting the throttle response so that you have to move the lever further before you get the same response from the cylinders. It's probably less of an issue. Ooh, how fast I'm going. It's naughty. It's probably less of an issue for people who are driving with the keyboard, I guess, but with the rail driver, because the throttle is so jumpy, shall we say, and it's nothing to do with the locomotive, it's just the horrible rail driver, you end up, instead of giving a tiny bit of throttle, you give it heaps of throttle. And I am being very naughty with my speed right now. Hopefully it won't come to bite me since we're going downhill rather fast. We should give it a little bit of brake, I think. Let's just jump back in the cab so I can see what I'm doing. Going to first service, just a little bit of brake. Let that have an effect. We'll just sit there for a little while. Let that bring our speed down a little, because we are going just a little quick. Or we might just let it hold on that speed. If it's not, no, it's not going to bring it down, is it? Ooh. I think I remember this one, you could actually use the reverser to maintain your speed, so we'll gently do that. And hopefully I don't blow anything up. Actually, you know, before I do this, I'm going to do this, just in case this train doesn't like using the reverser to maintain speed. No, it does. It's happy. So we've got a few new people turning in. We've got JO1212. What did you miss? Not a lot. We've just gone and picked up our failed train of stock cars and diesel F3 diesel locomotives. Or the F7s. They're probably F7s on the Wasatch Grade. And we're driving the Smokebox Heavy Challenger. Rail fans of Northern Illinois put in a first guess, Tees Valley. We'll see, won't we? And no one at 7:30 saw clouds, so it's obviously Southern 4501. And the Drifter from the Hours says, can drive a Union Pacific Big Boy 4014 with a Smokebox. Well, we have the Smokebox in the chat. The Drifter from the Hours, if you want to chat with him. We're back down to a more appropriate speed limit now, and I've overcharged the brakes. Fantastic. Does this locomotive support the Shift Z key? No, probably not. Alright. We'll just pretend our brakes are good. Alright, they're coming off now. Hopefully they stay that way. Let's go back into running. No, I really have done it. Sigh. Let's just start the locomotive off and pretend it's okay. And I can probably come back out of reverse now too, back into a forward gear. And come off the top. There we go. I'm showing incredible competence here. At least having the brakes partially on the whole train will make getting down the hill easier. Because I don't want to have to stop right now. And somehow I got one right up there. There we go. No one at 7 says to Smokebox he does like the front end throttle sim in this one. You get to a certain point with it and it won't respond anymore, which is how they work in real life from what he's saying. Heading down the steep bit again. I'm going to be on the brakes all the time this run, aren't I? And I've put the headlight on the back again. How did I do that? How did I do that? What a wally. That's better. None on the back. Keep blinding those poor guys in the diesel. Let's jump back here and see if I can do braking a little more confidently this time. bit more. Of course, because I overcharged it before, they may not actually work too well. We'll see. Yeah, that seems promising. Yeah, we'll hold this brake for a little while, I think. Probably down to about 25 mile an hour. A very good conversation about throttles going on in the chat here. Release the brakes, get back into running, so I don't repeat my earlier faux pas. And that should start picking up speed as they release. We are playing a game, rail fans of Illinois, but thank you for asking. So, who's looking forward, since we're in a dark tunnel, there's nothing to look at anyway, TSW3? Watch our firemen doing stuff. Very active, testing the gauges out. Good to see. Oh, I missed a bridge shot. Oh no! We'll let it creep up to about 33 and brake again. That looks like it's going to hold it. It's okay. I think we'll just sit on that braking for a little while. As we come around this mountain. Or is it a hill? Come around this side so we get the engine coming out into the sun, so it looks nice. Except I'm stuck in a hill. There you go. There's some good screenshot material for you. Naturally, I'll send all of those to you, Mr. Rail fans of Northern Illinois now. Now that brake's finally having some effect, so we'll just keep holding that brake for the moment. You can see another train over there in the distance. And there's someone banging on my door. Hang on a tick. Someone at my door, but I've just sent my kid out to find out who it is. Yeah, no one at 7 TSW3 does look really promising. A lot of people know I'm on the beta team, so it's not a drama for people to know it, but I have been testing it for quite a while, and it's really coming along nicely. Brakes are still holding fairly nicely, but I will release them soon. It's amazing how busy this little railway is. There's another train there, and we only just saw one going the other way, so they're quite close together. with one of my neighbours had come over to talk to me. He can wait. He's probably noticed the little changes out the front of our property. We'll release this brake fairly soon when we get down to 25. And just catching up with the chat, my apologies for having the neighbours join us briefly, but so no one out says another impressive feature is how the back pressure is simulated. Don't people talk about it enough? Essentially it's one-to-one with the real things, which is very cool. Nice achievement. And Smokebox said, glad he noticed that. There's some pretty clever, if he says so himself, scripting behind that. It took a lot of fine-tuning to get it right. I imagine yes. I think it's time to release this brake. Get back into running. Good. Because that will pick up again pretty quickly because of the gradient we're on. And I'll let it get back into the early 30s before I apply again, just to give the train a chance to actually charge up. I didn't do that. Rail driver, what are you doing to me? Don't do it! Don't do it! Don't do it! Okay, just sit in running. That's where I want you. Just sit in running. You reckon I'd stop using the rail driver knowing what it does, but, you know. That's just life, isn't it? It's quite a nice landscape, this one. It's plain, but it conveys the feeling of high desert landscape of the US. When I lived there, we did a massive road trip over a month through this very landscape. Hold there and see how we go. Should be okay, I think. It'll bring us back down. Only a little bit much, actually. We'll keep going with the route guessing game, mate. It's we've got a long way to go in the stream. I don't want to run it out too early. Once again, I'll let us come down to about 25 mile an hour before I release, because that gives me a little bit of time to work. Alright, let's jump back in here and release and back to running. There we go. Watch that come down, looks good. Braking plate pressure's going back up, that looks good. Braking coming down grade when you don't have the advantage of dynamic brakes means that you follow a method called sawtooth, where you apply, you bring your speed down, and when your speed's getting low enough that you're happy, you release again. And the most important thing is to leave enough time from when you release to when you have to apply again that the train will have charged up. Now, it's not a massively long train, but it would take a couple of minutes to charge this back up. Houses off the left there. I'm about to come over a road. Let's go up there, a bridge, and we can watch the train go over. I am picking up rather a lot of speed. Paying a bit more attention to that, really. We're coming into a faster section though, so I'm not too worried about it. We're coming back down onto the flat now, so we can release, get back to running. Good. Let the cylinders warm up again. Cruise down through the depot here. Don't want to build up too much speed though, because we have that 35 coming up after the depot there. It's one thing I do like about the TSC HUD over the TSW HUD. If you don't know the route, this is better. NJT's at a steakhouse. Oh, enjoy yourself. A little early for that kind of food for me. That looks like a familiar machine working hard over there. Sounding pretty good. You ready for the game again, are you? Person formerly known as Chicago, now known as rail fans of Northern Illinois. I guess we can do that. I'll just have to try and keep an eye on the speed.
Shall we play a game?
Let's try the next one. There you go. I don't know how helpful that is. Another little bit of sky. They're meant to take 5 seconds each, those clue boxes, and they're clearly not. I'll have to look at that. At the moment, our engine's nothing but a gigantic air pump. You'll survive, rail fan of Illinois, formerly known as Chicago. Hello, Connie Thunder. Good morning indeed. And yes, definitely still bearded. The family's doing well. Other half's off at work, which means I get to stream trains. I was outside doing a whole lot of stuff for her and the neighbours yesterday. I don't mind being a bit quick. It's never really worried me that much. But, I don't want to be too quick. That looks comfortable. We'll hold that brake for a little while. Or maybe we won't hold that brake for a little while. It is still creeping up. Might have to give it just a tickle more, I think. See how that goes. Just a little bit more. That's got it. Good to have you in for another stream, Connie. Yeah, we're getting there. So this route is a fairly big one, and we have travelled all the way to here. So there's a long parallel section, which we're in at the moment. It's quite a monster. So we're going to Echo Depot, which is down here. once again. That looks good. And coming down off the gradient, or off the steeper part of the gradient anyway, and back into a fast section, so we'll be able to go a bit quicker. That's an awful lot of rail fans in little blue cars pacing us. Now we can speed up again. Just let our big cylinder blocks warm up again for a little while before we put too much effort into them. Don't want to blow them apart. If you're not familiar with steam engines, after you've had a long drift downhill, your cylinders can become quite cold, which means water comes out of the steam and sits in the cylinders, and water can't be squashed. So when the piston moves back and forth, it tries to squash the water and isn't very successful usually. Connie says, yeah, Bud, I grab live as and when I can. Always nice to hear you and your wit. Well, yesterday I was building Halloween stuff for my other half because she is just a tiny bit of obsessed with Halloween. Just a tiny bit. So each year I get to build whatever comes into her mind for our display. This display is not insignificant. And then some neighbours across the road were cleaning up their garden there. A young couple that moved into the street a few months ago. Went and gave them a bit of a hand. No1at7 says, you know, people have been asking about an oil-fired Greyhound variant of the Challenger, but I don't blame Smokebox for not immediately pumping that one out. 3 years spent on these will do that. Yeah, I imagine it's probably not that insignificant a change too, because if we change the way the firing works, it'd have to be very carefully planned out and tested. It's amazing how people think some changes are really, really simple. Back to picking up some speed, but we've got some luxury because we're heading fast for a 50 zone, so just let it drift up for the moment. And you need to refresh the browser to see the live stream. Oh. But at least you know I'm still here. Probably start braking for that 35, I guess. I've been ignoring the speed that I'm doing, but a little bit more. Maybe a little bit more. Probably want about 30. There we go. That'll sit nicely and that'll slow us down. Should bring us down in time for that 35, which I'm assuming is probably a tight corner or something. Let's have a look. Certainly, no, there's a crossover. No, it's an artificial speed limit. That's okay. I'm sure he would. These things are an absolute labour of love. Now, despite the 38% on the HUD there, the brakes are off. And they will gradually release on the back of the train, and gravity will do its thing. That's a nice vista. I'll keep that one. Eventually gravity will do its thing. Or not. Might actually have to start powering. Alright, we will. Just help gravity a little bit. It's possible the brakes on the train are actually stuck on too, because if you remember earlier in the trip I did actually overcharge them, and that might have finally come round to bite me. That is possible. Now arriving Emery. Just warning everybody at the bustling location of Emery, all 0 of them, that we're coming. As you do. Hello, Brad. If you overcharge the brakes, you drop all the air out of the brake pipe. Basically through an emergency brake. But I overcharged them briefly, and the pressure seemed to come back down, so... But that may have been just an illusion. Right now it looks like they're off, and I am powering downhill and only picking up time fairly slowly, or picking up speed fairly slowly, I should say. You sound like someone that appreciates the high level of detail now in At 7. He says the oil firing in the 844 is still great, really in tune with how they actually fire. And Smokebox says to Brad that for recovering from the overcharge, it depends on whether the auxiliary reservoirs got overcharged as well, not just the brake pipe. And Connie Thunder says BNFS. I think someone woke up and saw the potential. Either way, like it or not, we've got to pay for at least standard version TSW3. Shame for us SDH owners. Well, don't forget, our southeastern high speed that you're getting is really a different route. Right? So the old content is there, but it's all new track, it's all new signals. There's lots of changes to the assets along the line. I won't go into details because while I've watched the streams, I don't remember exactly what they've told you and what they haven't, so I'm not going to take the chance until after release. But it is quite different, And Brad, absolutely yes. If you dump all the air from the brake pipe, you will come to a complete stop very quickly. Well, maybe not. Depends how heavy your train is. But yeah, eventually. Heading along towards Broken Signals through this magnificent valley. So out of all the things you've seen for TSW3 so far, what do you most think you'll like, and what do you most think you might not like? And No One At 7 says the biggest reason why is that steam engines are nuanced machines, and the fact that someone goes through the efforts to rewrite the game code so that it acts the way it should for a 2009 game means a lot. It's actually interesting when you say 2009 game, because it's got its roots in the 2006 Railworks, and it's got roots in the original MSTS as well. There's not a lot of that left in this, but it did come from that. Yeah, the route is quite a nice one. I'd never actually used it before. I got it specifically for this. So, yeah, I'm quite enjoying it. It's amazing how much detail you can get out of a game. I mean, it's a little bit cartoony in TSC, but it's still really cool. And there are a lot worse. A lot worse. And Smokebox says to Brad, if the auxiliaries go higher than 90 psi, when the brake pipe leaks back down to 90 lower than the auxiliaries, the difference causes a brake application. And No One Out says one of the features that we're looking forward to see in TSW3 is the ES44 DC traction motors distributing weight. It's very neat to see. Yeah, it's quite a clever trick, isn't it? That it picks up an axle so that it puts more weight down onto the powered wheel sets, which means that it's got more traction for speeding up and more traction, probably more importantly, on the very steep grades of Cajon Pass, more traction for slowing down with the dynamic brakes. Just ignore what the HUD's saying about apply, release, hold, by the way. It's just confused because where you have to leave the handle. The scripts are doing the right thing, the HUD's not. The HUD's a bit old. Now, I have a faint suspicion, Smokebox, that I do actually have a brake application on at the moment. In the back of the train, anyway. Because I shouldn't have to power going down a 0.6% gradient just to maintain speed, but I am. The rail fan of North Illinois wants to play the route racing game again. Yes, it is simulated. Yeah, I tend to use the HUD more when I don't know the route, and when I'm streaming, I usually have the HUD on, whether I'm looking at it or not, because I know other people look at it. Smokebox says in the UP gas turbine GTEL 3rd gen, there's a switch to do that power redistribution. It takes power away from the front axle. Brad's going to look into the simulation. And no one at 7 asked Smokebox, remember, said they worked on that bit back in the day. And Smokebox says, if we bring up the F5 HUD for a moment, you can see if the train brakes are on. We can do that. Why not? And train brake. Yeah, it's kind of like on and off, on and off, on and off, really. Yeah, we've definitely got a brake on, because brake cylinder pressure at 13.5. Yes, you definitely have got brakes on. So I think what I'll have to do, just to recover this, let's bring it to a normal stop. Lap there, and once it's stopped, I'll do an emergency application and get rid of all the air from the brake pipe and the auxiliaries. Don't want to go straight into emergency if you don't have to, because it's a bit violent. Alright, now we can go into emergency. And I'll just let that come all the way back down to 0. At least the good news is while you're doing this, your train can't roll away. Not until the brakes leak off anyway. I won't go back into full forward gear to get going again, because we won't need to, because we have gravity. Nearly there. Alright, now I'll do a release, and back to running, and now we just wait. Let it charge the system back up again. Except it's not. Oh, my first service. Go back into running. That's looking much more promising. There we go. That's what we want. Gradually going back up. I'm watching these gauges up here, if you're wondering. So the white hand on the left brake pipe, the white hand on the left gauge is the brake pipe, and watching that pump back up, that'll get back up to about 90 or so. The red needle on the left hand gauge is the brake cylinders on my locomotive, which are now released. And over on the other one, the white needle is the equalising reservoir pressure, and the red one is the main reservoir. So the main reservoir is what the compressor pumps up, and it supplies the air to everything else in the system. Still waiting for the brakes to actually come off on the back of the train, because we'd probably start moving. Because even though, one thing that is worth bearing in mind that people may not know about, is even though this shows 90 here, 90 pounds at the locomotive, it'll be a couple of minutes before it finishes pumping up at the back. So it'll be a little while before the brakes actually release all the way through the whole train. But we can hurry the process up by using a bit of steam. So it's not, I shouldn't say it's hurrying up the braking process, it's not. It's just helping us move, even though the brakes are still on in the back. And the fact that we're speeding up so quickly tells me that the brakes are now coming off in the back of the train. Much more responsive. Now if I stop powering, we should probably keep accelerating. Since we're on a gradient. No, so the brakes still aren't completely released in the back most likely. So if we go back to the back HUD, we have brake cylinder pressure is 0, so hopefully off everywhere now. The F5 HUD's very informative, but all those little tiny white letters. Yeah, it's really cool having Smokebox in the chat, Connie. Because every time I mess it up, he can tell me what I did wrong. And Smokebox says that you can recharge and release to speed it up as long as you return to running before it gets to 90. Definitely can. And NoAnet7 says lots of little detail in the stuff as well, like the gauge needles bouncing around at high speeds. The firing sim is great for a hand bomber. It is cool. And Smokebox says the patch will make the red needles brighter and easier to see. And thanks Connie for the recognition. And NoAnet7 says also if you use the blowdown, Shift F8, you can actually see the main reservoir needle actually completing because it's pneumatically operated. We can do a blowdown, why not? Let's watch. Now it'll pump back up. Now, of course, we're driving way too fast, and we're back on a steep gradient, so I should behave myself, but clearly I'm not. Let's just hold that and see how that goes for a little while. Yep, that's got it. Just a little 10-pound reduction will be fine. And that will get our speed back down where it belongs, but it'll do it slowly and gently. And JO1212 says, have I tried Smokebox's golden spike engines? I do have one of them. I didn't think it sounded condescending, Connie, don't worry about it. So don't worry about that at all. Definitely not. I have got one of the golden spike engines. Oddly enough, I don't have the root though. I only have an engine. I should get the root really, shouldn't I? It is a nice one. Time to release those and not muck it up this time. Right, back into running. Stick in running, not first service. I think I got away with that. So we travel through the large red rocky bluffs. It's a nice realistic landscape, this too. I like the way you've got all the stuff that's fallen off the cliffs and it's gradually formed a more gentle slope there, which is gathered dirt and plants. Good to see. First service not enough. Let's try that. Not quite enough, a little bit more. Back to 10 pounds again. That's doing the job. Railfan of Northern Illinois tells me he doesn't want to do a livery for TSW3. That's okay, because I have got a number of keys that I'll be giving away. I'm going to say a number of keys because I have to earn them. Now, I know that I've got an initial set because I've already earned them. But I have to do some more stuff to get the rest of them. So, all of the ambassadors get to earn keys to give away. I'm not too worried that this is speeding up because I have the faster zone coming up. And while my first giveaway is based on a livery, so the 3 themes I picked were Pumpkin for BNSF, Rainbow for the Southeastern High Speed, and the Ice Cream for the Ice 1 for Wurzburg. That should do it. So if you want to create a livery in TSW2 and publish it to Creators Club, that can earn you a standard edition key. It'll be quite cool. The standard edition comes with the 3 launch routes for Train Sim World 3, which is the very much bigger Southeastern High Speed. Cahoon Pass, which would be great to have in the game because I love running it on Run 8. And it'll be good to have it in a game that's got some decent graphics. And Wurzburg, or Castle Wurzburg, or if you want its full name, Schnellfahrstreck Kolm. No, sorry, Schnellfahrstreck Castle Wurzburg. No colon at all. So we head back down the hill. And I think I better get back into this cab and do something about stopping, because we're not very far away from where we have to do it. So pay attention to the little line. No, lap, not first service. Coming down rapidly, but is it rapidly enough? That's an interesting question. We'll soon know. We have to stop at that red light right there. I think we're going to do it. It feels okay to me. In fact, it feels like I might actually have to release. Might stop a little bit early. I am going to stop a bit early, but I'm going to let it come to a stand and then I'll get it moving again. No, it's fine. It's happy. Catching up with the chat while this is doing this is we've got... I was talking about the competition. The next competition will be a scenario. So if you want to build a scenario for TSW2, that's also fine. That will be in the next one. No187 says, Smokebox, you've been asked many times before, I'm sure. Is there any chance we'll ever see an NMW engine? And Smokebox asks JO1212, which of the 4 is your favourite from the unions? The foreman tells the signal stuck at red, but you have permission to pass and move forward as fast as the Echo Depot. Should I actually trust that, do you reckon? Or do you reckon I should do this? I reckon I should do this. Apparently, we're allowed to go through it. I always worry when someone tells me we're allowed to go through a red signal. No, I did have them open. Okay, good. We're still going downhill, so I shouldn't need too much steam pressure. Brakes are off, so they'll be coming off along the train. What have I done with the brakes? Let's just turn this hub off and turn this one on. I still have brakes on. I didn't overcharge it this time though, honest. There we go. That got it. Sorry about that, folks. Just a touch of incompetence on my part there. Yeah, look at that. There's a signal person. Hello, signal person. Look like you're going to fall over there, mate. Must be windy. Well, we didn't die, so they didn't lie about the signal. Just let that drift along now, because we'll probably speed up over the 25 anyway. Catching up on the chat after that little bit of excitement. What did we get to? Whee, we're all the way up there. Let's talk about licensing and cost of drawings. JO1212 says he likes the Omaha the best, and Smokebox likes that one too, which is cool. And I should do something about stopping, shouldn't I? Instead of reading the chat, just play the game. Because we are supposed to stop rather soon. That should do. That should bring us to a stop quite nicely. A little bit of a road here, we're probably going to block it. That's okay. And then I'll catch up with the chat, because that I think is the end of this scenario, if I remember rightly. As we park here and block the road completely. Not sure if 0.08 miles will actually be enough, or if I'll have to move again. We'll see. No, it's enough. Good-o, now I can catch up with the chat while it's doing its thing. Rail fan of Northern Illinois says he doesn't have the DBBR 403. Good to see that's on topic and in context. Jo1212 says he likes all the 440s. I like little locomotives too. That's why I like Clear Creek so much, I guess. The little tiny ones, love them. And No One at 7 says Smokebox has always wondered, do you have to hand paint the scroll work on those engines in the software? Thanks for coming to the rescue and hope that stuck signal gets fixed soon. There we go. Okay. So, next up is going back up the hill, naturally enough. So, funnily enough, we're staying with this locomotive. Now, I've just got to find the right one. This one. There we go. So, we're going to haul a Pacific Fruit Express from Ogden to Echo. So, we'll start that up. And while that's doing that, we'll keep going in the chat. And while it's starting, we should do a quiz.
Shall we play a game?
There we go. There's your next clue. Any guesses from anyone? And this is part one of a two-part scenario taking a concept of PFE reefers east to Evanston. Begin by completing the service of this challenger number 3989. The tender has already been filled with water. Top up the coal by pressing T. Very good. This will do that. Loading up. How we're looking in here, we've got lots of steam pressure. We have our independent brake applied by the look of it, and we have train brake released. We should put on a headlight. Move past the first switch, then back up past the diesel pumps, and stop at the Ogden Roundhouse Icehouse entry. Don't forget to release the engine independent brakes. Shall do. Can't quite get on them from that angle. Let's move over here. Now we can probably get onto those switches. Maybe a little bit fiddly. Let's move a bit further over and try. There we go. Put that on while we're in the yard. The scenario really wants me to do its thing, doesn't it? Okay. So we have to back up past the diesel pumps, which are down there. And then we're going to go out that way, I assume. Why do we have to back up then? That seems strange. Let's just have a look at the map. So I'm down there, and it wants me to back up past the diesel pumps, and then go out again, which is a bit weird. So I don't need to go through the turntable or anything. Oh, I think I know what it wants me to do. It wants me to back up there, and then go up there, and then go up that way, doesn't it? Okay. Is that really what it wants me to do? And where are our carriages? They're here. Ogden Ice House Track 4, which is 1, 2, 3, 4, that one. It's the long train. So we're going to have to go around here. That makes a certain amount of sense. Yep, alright. I kind of get what it wants, but we could just go forwards and then go backwards. Surely that would be easier. So that is what we're going to do. Good. Brake pipe overcharge. Good-o. Let's get it over with now. Sorry, train. We're going to have to stop. I nuppied it. Let's just let it dump all the air. And Noanet says, well, JO1212 says, I hope they don't give you a ticket for running stoplights. Oh, I know what's going on here. That's what happened. Here we go. I'm back into running. Oh, running. Good. Now I'll just let that recover. That's why I messed that up, because I forgot to turn off the detents. The detents don't like rail driver, and rail driver doesn't like the detents. And Noanet7 says, you're not a real engineer if you aren't blocking every crossing in Trown. Yep, absolutely. Rail fans of Northern Illinois, yes, it is a Japanese route, but which one? Yes, you're getting warmer there. Smokebox says, forward first, past the switch, and then back up. First go forward and stop beyond the switch. Yep. And how do you prevent overcharging? You use the brakes properly. So instead of leaving them in release, which is what I did, you do it the right way. They're not actually pumping up yet, so just go back to release briefly. Are they going to happen now? No, I think it's still not quite happy, so I'm going to dump it again. Alright, this time the brakes actually applied when I dumped it. I'm happy with that. Alright. All the way down, and then just sit in running. Running. Not first service, running. Yay! Okay. All good. Alright, off you go. Keep going. And they're still not quite right. But we are past the switch, so we can change that. Get some reverser on, but we're light engine, we don't need all of it. Let's have a quick look at the map. Yeah, we're going around that arc. We're going to head up over there. I just wanted to have a look that I wasn't about to power myself into a turntable. Because while that would be funny, I don't really want to. How are we going in the chat here? Interestingly enough, our little trains have release and running as well, and I did run into the problem with our diesels occasionally. I'm not a driver of the diesels, but occasionally the driver will let you sit in their office for a while to help you learn. I always like that expression too. Why don't you just step into my office and take the controls for a little while? As if any fireman's ever going to say no. It's probably enough of the cylinder cocks. Now it'll speed up a little bit. It is really nice having it simulated that the cylinder cocks don't let you build up enough pressure in the cylinders to work really hard. It's just fun. Wow, going past that turntable really made the game stutter. Rail fan of Northern Illinois guesses Tadami line. No, not quite. Oh, is it? No. Leave that in slow application on the Loco brake, which should bring us to a stop shortly. Hopefully enough to clear the switch, which is what we want. Yes, it is. Just wait till we stop though. It's almost impossible to click on these when they're moving. They all look good, so we want to go track 1, 2, 3, 4, I think. Just make sure I'm not going to the wrong track. So 6, 5. There's no track 5. Huh. So it's a supply siding, then track 1, track 2, track 3, track 4. So that one. That seems to make some sense. So I want to go through 1. Actually there. Hopefully everybody's still around. Sorry about that. Looks like the stream is catching up. Yes. So while I was away then, I was just working out how many switches I need to go through to work out which line I want to go to. So it's the supply siding, and then 1, then 2, then 3, and then 4. So I want to go into that one, I think is where my train will be. Up there, I think. Now I've been getting little disconnection glitches of late, and I don't know if it's a... There was a firmware update to my router not so long ago, and I don't know if it was that, or if my ISP is having issues. I'll just leave that to stop while we set up to go back. As long as it doesn't do it, which I don't think it will. And let's just check, make sure I did set that switch correctly then. So we're heading back up. Yep, that looks good. No cats, just fun problems with the internet. In fact, there is no cat on their little perch today. I was just having a look. So I've been thinking about getting a new router, and I put some money aside for it, partially just to find out whether it is the router or not. But unfortunately, I had an issue with our storm drain pipes getting crushed by the very neighbour that came to the door earlier in the stream. Because he kept parking his car on them. Still got a brake on. I do. I want to come off the power. I'm going to hit these cars really hard. In fact, I want to go back on the brake now, so I don't hit them really hard. Running. Just running. Stay running. Yeah, I'm not sure how much communication goes via satellite and how much of it goes via the undersea fibre cables. And the drifter from the hours says, I get a sad train simulator driver. Yeah, when the internet disappears and you're trying to stream, it's a bit challenging. And I still have an independent braking. A little bit, because we should be about to hit them, I think. So 4 miles is good. Yeah, just about to hit. Little bit more. Little bit more. Little bit more. Clank. Construction complete. We have 1,675 short tons behind us. Take the consist east up the Wasatch Grade as far as Echo. Excellent. Alright. Now, is our path set to go out? The specially scripted automatic fireman is enabled by default. You can fire manually. Well, no. Or you can press E to enable the expert engineer autopilot for most of the journey. Remember to deactivate the engineer before reaching Echo. It looks vaguely promising that we can just go out, so we'll try that. Alright. Full forward gear, and we can release this independent brake. And I shouldn't have any train brakes on, and that should have pumped itself up, hopefully. In reality, it'd probably take a bit longer to pump the train up, but TS doesn't really do that. Hello, Chris Vasquez. Hello from below. How are you? You just missed my great internet dropout that lost me, what, about 20 viewers. Oh well. Life's like that. And the drifter from the hours asked, can I drive a Union Pacific Big Boy 4014 run on a passenger train, please? Sadly to say, I don't actually have the Big Boy. I keep meaning to get it, and I never actually do it. One day. I mean, I kind of could ask Dovetail for it, but I feel a bit guilty asking Dovetail for stuff, to be honest. Even as an ambassador. I still buy most of my TS content. How's that train coming? Looks like it's coming with us. It's not a particularly big train, but it is a fairly heavy gradient. Feels like I'm blow the whistle. There we go. I think it might be time for a bit of a game. What do you reckon?
Shall we play a game?
So there we go. Should reveal a new clue. Doesn't help much though, because you've got enough of it to solve it, I think. It would help. Look at me roaring away through the yard here, 5 mile over the speed limit. It does help, Chris, that I have some experience with steam engines. It definitely helps. It's kind of handy. I think the steam engines in Train Sim World, yeah, you could kind of drive them almost any way you felt like it, and you kind of get away with it. But this is a little bit more finicky. It's not difficult, but some stuff to get used to. You can watch the big snake go through the yard here. I always like watching these curves. It's just kind of interesting. Brad's got it. It is the Wakayama route. And the question is, so that's, you've got the bonus points, Brad. What is the train? Just write down that Brad got the bonus points. So I'll add that to my leaderboard spreadsheet shortly. Should I be blowing the whistle? We'll do it late. You want the bell as well? There you go. I call the railway bells Beelzebubs, because no one but Americans actually have bells. Looks happy. Fireman's testing our gauge classes again. Good to see. You don't have a lot of water in the boiler, Fireman. What are you doing? You've only got one stud. Come on, man. Put some water in. It's going to be embarrassing if we run out of water. Little crossing, little whistle. It's actually funny because in my steam fireman training, they always say, you know, running out of steam is embarrassing. Running out of water will kill you. And they're kind of right. We're allowed to do 50 mile an hour. I was gas bagging so much I didn't notice. Isn't that sad? Currently on my channel there's a poll, by the way, because next week will be TSW2, and there's a poll for what route and train people would like to see. And so far it's neck and neck between one of the American ones and one of the German ones. Chris Vasquez guesses, is it the Class 1? If not, maybe a Class 2. If not, maybe a Class 3. Or should I keep guessing? And JO1212 likes to view the train from inside the cupola. Yeah, why not? I've never actually tried that on here. Can you do a passenger view? No, you can't do an in-passenger view on this one. There's a nice angle. Why am I still in full forward gear? What am I doing? I'm sitting here going, why isn't it speeding up? And it's not speeding up because I'm an idiot. Yeah, now it'll speed up. Or not. Nope, still losing speed. Haven't got a brake on it, though. No, definitely not. I'll turn this off anyway. Quite nice light for such an old game engine, isn't it? Done that well. I could do that. There you go. Let's get rid of the F5 hub there. He's driving himself now. Let's see if he can speed up. No, it makes me feel good that the automatic engineer can't speed up either. Connie knows where that comes from. Yes. That's a blast from the past. Quite literally, isn't it, Connie? Oh, boiler pressure's okay. Quite happy. And I saw our little fireman mate, there he goes, he's twiddling gauges, so our fireman, twiddling tops rather, our little fireman mate's working his heart out, so. It does sound like it's speeding up now, it's gone up to 36 mile an hour. Look, we've got that backup light on, we don't want that as well. Let's get rid of that. Yeah, that should have gotten rid of that. No? Did I not quite get on the switch? Look you. I can't quite stay. There we go, that'll get it. Yes. It's just hard to get on the switch at that angle. Yeah, he's picking up now, he's up to 37. Going on a gentle cruise up the grade. Through a nice little forest here. I actually forgot I'd put that audio on the quiz. I kind of think being on top of that leaderboard at towards the end of this month might just earn you a TSW3 Standard Edition key. How does that sound? So if you're not on top of it right now, it gives you 3 weeks to get on top of it. Well, it's not bad. Actually, nearly 4 weeks. How many streams have I got before it launches? It goes public on... The early order people get it on the 2nd UTCs, that's the 3rd in Australia. It's about 3 weeks. Gotta say hello to your mates. Having the automatic engineer Smokebox is a bit like driving a German train with LZB. You just kind of sit here and watch. And if you've got CIFA turned on every now and then, you back the button. So we're still looking for some points for what the train is. There's still quite a few points up for grabs there. So we'll flip back to that again soon. I have to be careful how many keys I offer people because while I know how many I can earn, I have not earned them all yet. I know how many I have in my hand right now, or will have when I give them, when they give them to me. They haven't given them to me yet. But the others, I've made some promises. I have to follow through on those promises or it won't happen. I think it's an excellent reason to run the automatic engineer smokebox. I suppose the other reason for having the automatic engineer is when you're learning to fire, you can just forget about the train and concentrate on the job. Because there's a reason that steam trains that travel any distance have two people. If you're just pottering around in the yard, you really can do both jobs for yourself, but not at any kind of distance. It's too much to look at, too much to work on. Jo asked me, have I tried the Big Boy in Trains 2022? Yes, I have. Not a huge fan of the way Trains works, but I like a lot of the trains in it, and I like a lot of the routes in it, but I do wish it worked a little bit differently. It's kind of sad as an Aussie I find myself unable to fully support an Australian built game, but that's life. And Brad asked me, would it be a Kia 130 series? The designation I have written down here is that apart from being an EMU, it's a particular JNR. Japanese National Railways. I'm looking for its class. So I'd have to have a look up, Brad, and see if it actually is a Kia or not. Could be. Let me see if I can do that without interfering with the stream. Do you want me to sit in the loco? There you go. Okay, it's not a Kia 130. Just didn't think it was. Let's have another look at it.
Shall we play a game?
There you go. That should help you find it. In fact, I'm just going to let the other
Shall we
two
play
clues
a
go out
game?
because they're not really helpful. But if anybody gets it, I'll score them on the three that were left. So there's a possible 30 points up for grab at the moment, and I'd suggest if you have a look at the route in Steam, it'll probably tell you. It's interesting how much the automatic engineer changes the reverser smokebox. He's quite eager on the reverser, and he's using 100% throttle, isn't he or she? Now passing you in tar. Yes, it is a green train, Chris. Very good. You win the thankless task of putting up with me talking about American trains. Is anyone going to look up the route on Steam and see what the train is? There are two trains on that route. Only one of them's green, though. Yeah, it's quite a different driving style to the way I tend to do it. And it's interesting because different locos, some locos like to have the regulator at 100% and drive solely on the reverser. And others like to have a lesser regulator. and keep the reverser in one spot. So, doesn't sound like it's working too hard going up the hill, but it has slowed down. It's down to 27 miles an hour now. So put that back on. Doing alright. Pretty steep hill. JO1212 says, are we there yet? Not quite. A little way to go. We're going to get hit by a train. Ah! It is the 103 Classic. Chris Vasquez, you are correct. 30 points for Chris Vasquez. Well done, sir. Well done indeed. I'll have to check what the leaderboard's up to, but I don't want to do that while I'm streaming. You want me to sit on the fireman's side? All right then. Go over here. Nearly there. There we go. Let that head out. Head out a bit more. Oh, is that why you like trains, JO1212? It does make life a little bit simpler, yes, you're driving a bit like a model railway. There are some trains in trains that have actually got this sort of level of control and driving. Ah, driver's gone. There you go, can watch the reverser even more from over here. At least the automatic timer's got some water in the boiler now, good to see. On about a half glass there. And it bouncing up and down like that is quite normal. Hello, NJT. How was your dinner? There we go. Testing our gauge classes, and they have bounced back up smartly, which is always good. It's actually interesting, in American locomotives they always have these twisty kind of valves or cocks. There's English and the ones that we use in Australia, we have the lever type cock. And the very, very, very old person who taught me boiler management back in, what, about 2005, I think? Something along those lines. He always had this favourite phrase, which you probably wouldn't get away with in the workplace now, which was, keep all your cocks down to avoid a cock up. It doesn't get much simpler than this JO1212. It's driving itself. We're just watching. We're along for the ride. I kind of think you can't actually open the firebox on the automatic timer. Oh no, you can. There you go. Firebox. Of course, in reality, I'd be having a horrible impact on the steam pressure right about now. This one's nice and bright. It's probably about as bright as you can get in a game, but looking into a real firebox, it's so much brighter than that. No, close. Stay up. Good lad. Getting a bit wet. Yes, there are many dirty words used on railroads. And I have to say, it still survives to this day. Now would be a poor time to open the firebox, because you'd get horrible blowback. Oh, I should have closed the thing on the chimney, shouldn't I? Oh well. It's only a tunnel. It's alright, we just cleaned its roof. Rail fans of Northern Illinois is back. Connie asked if they fixed the manual fireman in TSW 2/3. The manual fireman has not yet been developed. So it's still a magic fireman at the moment. Perhaps at some point in time, we will get a real one. It's good to sit here because this would be where you'd be standing if you'd been given a cab ride. Given that they don't actually have to fire this one through the door. If you ever get the opportunity to visit the Sugar Pine Railroad in Yosemite, you can in fact buy yourself a cab ride if you can't charm your way into the cab. It's a good experience. Fooling along in a big 3-truck shade. Signals are usually placed so that the engineer, driver, pilot, whatever country you're from, of the locomotive can see them. And in most railways where there's more than one person on the crew will call the signals to each other. Usually with the second person calling to the first person first. And it's just one of the exchanges that you have. It's part of the cabin etiquette, is you always pay attention to each other to make sure that both crew members are alive and well. Yeah, I like the rail driver, drifter from the hours. There happens to be one sitting at my left right now. Can't quite get a proper view from here, but we can do a pretend one. That's about as far as we can go. There is some TS content where you can actually get into the caboose, or van as it would be in Australia or the UK. Yes, Yellowstone is in Wyoming. It's actually one of the few American national parks I haven't been to. I haven't been to Yellowstone. I haven't been to Glacier National Park. But that's about it. I think I've been to all the other national parks anyway. I have been to Steamtown, but they were shut. It made me sad. And yes, you can take the Empire Builder to Glacier National Park, you're right. One day, I'll do Yellowstone and Glacier. I'd kind of like to do Glacier just at the start of winter as the first snow's starting to fall before it gets really heavy. Because I think that would be very nice for photography for that park. Chris says, of course you've been to all the national parks. It's the most Australian thing you could do. Oh well. I actually bought a national park pass. You go to lots of parks. Look, Bridgeporn. How far have we got to go? 26 miles. A little bit of sun and rain right now. That's something I'm looking forward to for TSW3. Dynamic weather. You can only just hear the whistle from this far away. Cruise through the valley. No, have I been to the Golden Spike site? Not the specific site, but I have been over that pass. But not to the specific site itself. Ooh, I was naughty. I missed a road crossing. Naughty diver. We did go through that area on our giant road trip. If you don't know, I worked in America from either 98 or 99, I can't remember, up until 2002, early 2002, mid 2002. And partly during that time, we bought an old Winnebago, also a very Australian thing. Buy something old and just make it do. And we took a month off and we drove all the way across the country. We lived in California, in Northern California, and we got as far as West Virginia before we decided we'd had enough, really, and came home. But we stayed with friends in Indiana, in Bloomington, and we visited friends in few other states. In Idaho we did, and someone in Illinois I think we visited. Did visit some friends in West Virginia, North Carolina. And our last visit was all the way back in California. It was kind of funny because it took us something like 28 days or something to get to as far east as we got, and then we came back in 3 days because we could. And we only took that long because we stopped to visit friends. Yeah, we often do like the outdoors, you're right, especially the ones who travel. I was particularly impressed with Yosemite, to be honest, which is the one I've most recently stayed in. That was in 2018, before the world turned to poo. I was only there for a few days, but I was very impressed. It was, if you thinking about going to Yosemite, or any national park for that matter, if you're able to stay there, I would strongly encourage you to stay there, because you want to get onto the trails before all the tourists turn up, so you're a few hours ahead of them. Strawberry. Once all the tourists turn up on the trails, It does get a little crowded and you start to lose the effect of being in wilderness. And the day tourists tend to start arriving in Yosemite about 7:30 in the morning. So if you're out on the trail by 6, you're an hour and a half in front of them. And you won't see them until you come back. Yeah, I don't think we visited the specific site of the Golden Spike, JR. But we certainly did go through the pass that it's in. Drifter from the Hours saw a Union Pacific Big Boy steam train Cheyenne to New Orleans, Louisiana. Did you follow it? It's funny, this route reminds me a little bit of the New Zealand Midland line. Just with the really tall mountains. That was nice of him. He was working really hard and then he cut off just as he went underneath us. It's being very nice engineering and not cooking us. That wouldn't be the right tag for this loco. That'd be a big boy tag, wouldn't it? Number board. Oh, for a horrible moment I thought we were going to run straight into the back of that train. But no, we didn't, fortunately. There we go. Just woke the man in the caboose up. This poor guy in the stock train here, he's been put off to the side to let the much more important Pacific Fruit Express come through. Through the Peterson Depot. I wonder what happened from game if I snuck back into that siding and coupled up with the other one and took it with us. Slow down for the tight corner. So I'm going to go that way. Yep, there is the Union Pacific Big Boy, the drifter from the Hours, but I don't have that one, unfortunately. Virtual G-scale, you think, JO? I have quite a lot of ON30, but I did have a railway that was being built at our old house, but when we moved here I had grand plans of building one in the garage, but this has not really materialised. me have a look. Would have helped if I'd prepared that knowledge earlier, wouldn't it? Utah. Aren't we in Utah at the moment, Drifter from the Hours? It's easy to do your scales. See, Z, N, H, O, O, G, F. Yeah, I was pretty sure it was Utah. NJTE's back for the second time. So we crossed into Wyoming and came back out again. Or we're going into Wyoming, aren't we? Because we're going to Evanston. What was the last little town we went through? Peterson. I'll tell you if we cross the border in a bit. No, it's still in Utah. Peterson, Utah. The border is just before Evanston. So if we look from a game perspective, center us again, zoom out. That's our task, is going through to there. But the actual game keeps going in the second half. Somewhere up here. That's Castle Rock. Wasatch, which is before it. And somewhere along here is eventually, maybe I should just zoom out. This is Evanston, isn't it? Yeah. So the border is probably about there. So we won't get to it in this scenario. NJT ordered TSW3 Deluxe. Have you already have Spirit of Steam, NJT? And JO1212, simply larger size allows more details as TS shows and bigger routes. Yet TS doesn't have the limitation of having to work on a console. But, as we've seen, with all of the optimization work that Dovetail's been doing, we have got a much longer route coming in TSW3. Longest route in the game. And Smokebox says, yep, the border is between Wasatch and Evanston. And JA1212 says the smaller scale, as Trains exemplifies, allows more layout options in more compact spaces. No, Trains has got big routes too. It's got quite long ones. There's a lot of Australian content in Trains too. I think I've answered that one, the Drifter from the Hours. No, I don't have the big boy. Well, actually, I have got a big boy. I haven't got Smokebox's big boy. I've got the old crap one. I think I've got two different ones in memory. I have a lot of DLC. Way too much. Way too much. Never want to add it up. Too scary. Come across this little depot here with its really sleepy person that's looking after it, and we go, wake up. I think NJT, they're always going to care about money because they have to make money to survive. They employ about 120 people, and if you just think about the salaries of 120 people, that's an enormous amount of money. But I think they made an excellent choice back with TSW when they decided to go for consoles, because that's where the real cash is. Just in time to see a blow off, or a blow down. I woke you up, did I, Connie? Ow. No, they do have a very big focus on quality. I can definitely assure you of that. But things do have to be prioritised. And in the last weeks leading up to a release, things get really, really hectic. But I think they managed the process pretty well. Oops, I didn't go with a whistle at that road. Naughty. But I think they handled the process reasonably well. And they're certainly getting better at it. But there'll always be things in every game that don't meet someone's expectations or don't quite work properly. It's just how it is with computer software. Being perfect costs too much. I'm actually in the IT industry for my real day job, as distinct from the ones I play with. And in that one, there's an IEEE classification for computer software, and you classify things from 1 to 4. And they are classified on the basis of how many people they could kill if they get it wrong. Games are a 1. Never any more than a 1. We might drift towards a 2 from an accessibility perspective because of things like flashing, but they're going to be in a 1 if they're evaluated. Things like the software to run a plane is a 4. Software to run a nuclear power plant, 4. Games, 1. And that rating dictates how much you test and how much you spend. Hello, town. We there yet? No, 15 miles to go. Another train that's been sidelined waiting for us, although it could be loading and unloading there at the goods shed. It is very stressful. I've worked on a 3, that was bad enough. I can imagine what a 4's like. On the 3, every change was quality checked by 2 people, and a test plan was written before any change was made. So I can imagine the extremes that you go to on a 4. Building trains would be fairly stressful too, I imagine, because you build this thing, you spend months and years on it, and then you give it to people like me. In JTE, yes, I do, and no, I can't talk to you about it. I'm happy to say I do. I am a beta tester. It's fine that you know that. I'm allowed to tell people that. But I can't answer any questions about it. Drifter from the Hours, can you switch a steam train to a diesel loco? Do you mean in a scenario? You can. So in TSW you can't edit someone else's scenario, but in TS you can. There's 2 ways to do it. If it's not locked, you can just copy it, and then you can edit the scenario and change the locomotive. So what I usually do is I'll take the locomotive that's on the train, and I'll put that on I'll move it onto an adjacent track, and then I'll add a new locomotive in its place, and then I click on the driver icon and drag that onto the new locomotive that's coupled to the train, and it will transfer everything that it can do. Now, that usually works quite well. The only times where it doesn't is if the new locomotive is significantly more or less powerful than the one that was there before, because the scenario timings won't work. Your timetable will be stuffed. You'll have to rejig things at that point, because all of the other things that are happening around you are usually based on you being at a certain point at a certain time in the route. The other way that you can do it if you have to is using, if it's a locked up one, so it's buried inside a pack file, you can use TS tools, or you can just unzip the pack with something like 7-zip and get it out, and then you can edit it. Connie Thunder says that they think TSW3 should be a free upgrade, and each new route loco at $24.99. Yeah, I don't know about that. I mean, an enormous amount of work's gone into this. I'm actually happy that it's a separate game. I don't mind it, but granted you feel that way, that's okay, that's fine. And it's going to vary from person to person whether they think it is genuinely a new game or if it's something that could have been an upgrade. But I think this time round they've made so many changes. I mean, wait till you actually see it and get your hands on it, because they've made so many changes to it that I think it warrants being a different game. Because they've changed the way trains work, they've changed the way signalling works, they've changed the entire lighting in the game is now different, like really, really different. So, no details, but after it launches, or if I see it on a Dovetail stream, I can talk about aspects of it, but not at the moment. Did I turn off our automatic guy? Don't think so. Maybe he... Oh no, there he goes. He's powering up again. Yeah, TSC has also changed. It has had core changes since 2012, but not massive ones. So TSC is just an annual rebrand, and generally speaking you don't have to buy it again, so it's just a different concept. Part of the fun bit will be getting YouTube to recognise TSW3 when it's time to start publishing content. Yeah, trains changes every few years. Trains 2022, you had to buy it. And you can buy it in two different ways. You can buy it to keep, or you can power by the hour if you want to. And generally what they do is they're packaging up a bunch of routes and giving you a bunch of core changes together to make it attractive. And that's what they've done this time. Yeah, I think you're right, Smokebox. It has had core changes since 2012. The last major update for TS was fast load. Didn't get an update when it changed to TS Classic. Or TS 2022 as a lot of people call it. I'm not sure if they rang the bell for road crossings in this particular area of the Drifter. Does anyone know? Oh, bridge. Bridge. It's announcing itself coming around a pretty tight corner. Good place for a screenshot, I reckon. But when it's off the bridge. About there. To some extent NJT, yes, but not completely. This simulator does have its roots in the Cujo simulator, and there is Cujo code in this one. There's actually some Cujo code in TSW as well. Hello Jonah, how are you? Welcome. And yes, many people do call TSC Railworks. It doesn't help that in the folder structure it actually is called Railworks, I guess. And JO1212 says trains updates actually fix bugs for the most part. Yes and no. I've experienced both. I was in the beta for Trains 2022. Yeah, they didn't always go forwards. It's no different, really. Near a passenger station, the drifters in the hours would like me to use the bell. Well, if I spot it in time, I shall. Just for you. But as I mentioned way earlier in the stream, don't remember if you were here or not then, but I don't actually know this route. This is the first time I've used it. Connie says it's not the TSC engine, it's what the third parties can do with it. There are some great looking rails by partners. Oh, they definitely are. And people have taken this engine to its ultimate extreme. I mean, look at this engine, for example, this locomotive. It's amazing that TSC can do this. Rail fan spot. I'm the kind of person that would go and camp out in a cliff to take pictures of trains. As you do. NJTE, no politics, please. We could do Amtrak someday. We did some Amtrak not so long ago. Might have even been last week, actually. Just thinking about it. I think it was. I think we hauled an Amtrak train. It wasn't last week, maybe the week before. We hauled an Amtrak train with this, with the Challenger. Just because we could. See, if you lived here, you'd watch out your window and you'd see that. And you could wave, and the driver would wave back. I don't think I have JO1212. I'll have to look them up. Jonah says he was riding an Amtrak train the other day and went into emergency twice. Was it anywhere near a level crossing? Or was the train brake pipe just not properly intact? Starting to climb properly now. The Challenger doesn't have ditch lights, drifted from the hours. It has marker lamps, which you can change. Okay, Joe, let's have a look. That's not cool, Jonah. He says the first time one of the cars ripped an air hose. And the second time a signal malfunctioned, which probably means it changed to red or danger or stop, depending on what they call it on that particular railroad, right in front of the driver. NJT says, honestly, you should do a TSW2 marathon for your last TSW2 stream. Already suggested in the community post. Well, you never know. Could happen. I will have to check my wife's roster and see if she's working that day. Because she'll want things done too, which is fine. Can't do everything I want to do, but we'll see. What I am kind of thinking of doing on the day that there you go. Just for you, Drifter from the Hours. A bell as we come through the passenger area. We need to get right down low, down here. In any moment now, we're going to see another one of these. More fruit going the other way. Hello. Sometimes they drive with the ice hatches open and sometimes they're closed. I guess when they actually have fruit in them, they're open, or closed rather. So I was going back to what I was saying to NJTE then before I distracted myself and forgot what I was talking about. I was contemplating on the day that I'm allowed to reveal TSW3, and I'm not sure what day that will actually be yet, whether it'll be early or not. I'll have to wait to find out. I'm thinking about driving Southeastern High Speed on TSW2 and then switching to 3 and driving Southeastern High Speed on that one, because I just think that would be fun. So we'll see. We'll see what I do for that. And the Drifter from the Hours has the Union Pacific SD70 ACE Sherman Hill Train Sim World 2 on his Xbox. Excellent. I hope you enjoyed that. And Jo likes to drive the Jupiter on Soldier Summit. And NJT asked, did Chicago rename his channel? Yes, he did. He now calls himself like Rails from Illinois or something like that. Do I have the Union Pacific SD70 ACE and Union Pacific SD70 MOC on Train Simulator? I think so. Yes, still live, no one at 7. We're 6 miles away from Echo, eastbound siding east, which is where this stream will be stopping. I was thinking about running a second part of this as well, but I have to do some other stuff, so I won't run the second part today. Oops. What? Where did I go? Very high is the answer. And now I've gone way away from the train, which is over there. That's okay. Can we hear the whistle from this far away? Oh, just. Now I have to get it right, because I've taken over again. And I have to say, Auto Guy was doing better than me. It was kind of like I've got brakes. Maybe I've confused it in the transition. Stop that. Stop that. That. I do have some brakes now. I think I confused it in the transition. There we go. I'll come back to where I like having it, which is about 34, 35. That'll be fine. It's going to hold it nicely. There we go, now we're speeding up. And No One at 7 says one of the things you've done is recreate the intermodal run with 3985. Performed pretty much as expected given the territory. It is fun honking these locomotives on big modern trains just to see what happens. And NJTE says that Amtrak introduced the Berkshire Limited, a train running between New York, New York and Pittsfield, Massachusetts. Only runs seasonally on weekends, introduced on July the 1st. So it's a new train. That's cool. So Get down. Hopefully nothing will come down the middle track and run over me. Got some what look like F7s coming past. When they run steam engines in modern times, in our current times, what is that signal? That signal is yellow, so we're not very far out. Keep an eye on it now. In current times, they tend to run diesels with the steam engines because they don't want a hold up on the line if something goes wrong with the steam engine. Just in case there's passengers here, but I don't think so. And no one had to keep trying out different intermodal cars due to the drag coefficients being off on a lot of them. Yeah, some of the rolling stock's a bit funny in its configuration. I do play Run 8, yes. Simulation-wise, Run 8 right now in public release is probably the best of the simulators purely from the driving perspective. Its graphics are quite poor. It's quite the best description. But enjoyability-wise, I think TS and TSW are probably the most enjoyable to play for different reasons. TS for the length and size of the routes you can have, and TSW for the other fun gameplay that comes in with driving trains. Is there actually a road here or not? There's a road to the railway, but it doesn't cross it. But we'll whistle anyway, just in case. .8 miles to go to Echo eastbound siding east. Yeah, there are some mods for Run 8. I've tried a few of them. Some of them are good, some of them not so good. I guess it's like any mod. Some of them are good and some of them are not so good. It's just kind of how it is. Yeah, the train handling's really good. The other thing that's really, really good about Run 8 is the sound. One of the reasons I like running locals on Run 8. I actually find running the long trains quite boring because the scenery's so bad. So I tend to run locals and switching on Run 8. And I like hearing things like the individual rubber blocks on the bogies on carriages as you're pushing them around into and out of sidings. Looks cool. The other simulator that's starting to gain popularity, even though it looks awful, is Roblox. It's got trains now. And there's quite a few people playing SCR trains on Roblox. So. I haven't. Well, I don't need to worry about that speed limit coming down, that's for sure. And we have another yellow. NJTE says TSC and TSW are more for fun. Run 8 is for realism, like how Microsoft Flight Simulator is, while X-Plane is for realism but worse graphics from 2017. Yep. The little team that builds A-Line have talked about Northeast Corridor, so who knows. There's two teams in Run 8 essentially. There's the guys that build the West Coast and the guys that build the East Coast, and the A-Line people are very small. I actually think the Run 8 team's quite small too. I don't think it's a big group of people at all, and I have a faint suspicion of them that a lot of them do it more out of love than anything. Time to let gravity do some work. Since we're coming into our stopping point. Yeah, I've never quite gotten into Roblox, much to my 9-year-old niece's disgust. She wants to play with me. But, you never know. You never completely say no to these ideas, do you? And yeah, multiplayer is quite a big thing with Run 8. Jonah, you're right. It's depends on the server you're on too. Some of them are run really, really strictly. And if you do the slightest bit of clowning around, you get thrown out. And some of them, it's almost entirely clowning around and it's encouraged. It's a bit like Trains multiplayer. Trains multiplayer's got a lot of clowns. When I finish this one, the Drifter from the Hours, that'll be it for today, because it's coming up on 11:30 AM here. I have to go and do some other stuff. Hopefully my streams will still stay organised, but next month on all the Saturdays I'm going to be in Steam School, going back to redo my qualifications. And Connie Thunder asks, the ultimate question for you, can we ever merge all the users from TSC to TSW and develop it exponentially? Oh, shut down TSC. I wouldn't say no. I wouldn't say it was impossible. But a lot needs to happen to actually make that viable. So you need the ability for anyone to contribute to make it work. So you also probably need to port the TSC content and make that run. Even if it runs badly, it would need to run. So I think that's a big one. Could you actually do it? No. Not an insignificant amount of work. NJT says there are some C Roblox shader and graphics clients that people took out for the API. Yeah, SCR looks okay, but it's just okay. I don't think TSC will go away. I think even if it actually disappeared, it wouldn't, if you know what I mean. It would keep playing. People would keep it alive. Yeah, I've never experienced Roblox moderation NJT, so I don't know. Jonah, can you transfer your DLCs from TS1 to TS3? Have you got TSW2? If you've transferred them into TSW2, I would say definitely. All except for Northeast Corridor and the SW1500, because they never came over. And I think there was one other loco that never came over as well. Are we going to make it? I think we are going to make it. Just before the signal, which happens to be red. Ah, beautiful timing. There we go. That's not bad after such a long run to manage that stop. I'm happy. I did one yesterday when I was playing a German route. I stopped it with this much of a locomotive past the signal. I thought, I'm doomed. But no, it let me get away with it. So that was all right. And that's the end of the run, which does bring us to the end of the stream. So we had a winner of Chris Vasquez, who picked up 30 points for JNR 103. And Barad, who got the route full of Wakayama. Now, if we just pop through the chat for a moment. Matt Play TV, Train Simulator Driver. Yes, Matt Play TV, he's the executive producer of TSW, so yes, that's why he's not been on his own stream so much lately. He's just so busy. And Jonah Cantro says that, do you know if I'll be able to transfer? I asked that question. If you've transferred him into TSW2, yes. If not, you might have to get onto them via the service desk and put in a call. They'll probably still be able to do it, but you'll probably have. I don't know that you'll be able to do it automatically. I will ask for you though. I will find out via the ambassador channel, and I will come back to you. So remind me. I'll put the question in right now, but remind me on next week's stream to give you the answer. And thanks, Smokebox. It was a great run, mostly automatic until I took over at the end there. And that's probably about it for today. And can I build my own Amtrak? I have done my own Amtrak scenarios. There's actually quite a few of them on Workshop. If you go and have a look for Train Simulator Driver, there's a bunch of stuff up there. Anyway, thank you very much for watching, folks. Please, if you liked it, give it a like. And if you're not subscribed, jump in and subscribe. Really helps out the channel and means that I keep making stuff, because I don't get anything out of this. I just do it for fun, basically. So enjoy yourselves, have fun, and see you at the very latest next week. But you never know what will happen during the week, because sometimes I just do stuff. All right. Thanks all. See you later. Bye now. Thanks for watching, folks. I hope you enjoyed it. I always like to get your feedback in the form of likes and comments, because they help me understand what you want. Give the channel a subscribe and click on the tinkly things so you don't miss out on any new stuff. And thanks for your ongoing support. And please, be safe out there.